Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers, by gamers.
He's Bajo.
And he's Junglist.
This week we'll be testing out our Spidey sense on the multi-platform Spider-Man 3.
No autographs, please.
Daniil is in nerd heaven as he and the Overclockers attempt the quad-core world record.
Elite Beat Agents is the latest in a long line of quirky Japanese titles for the DS. We'll be doing the chicken dance. Plus more Aya and Ultimate Showdown.
But first, here's the news.
Gears of War's Marcus Phoenix. Gears of War's Marcus Phoenix has taken up a hobby, golf. In an experiment by Epic Games to show off their Unreal Engine, which usually drives first-person shooters, Marcus has swapped his arsenal of weapons for a set of golf clubs. CEO of Epic Mark Rains said in an interview with Edge magazine that they asked an animator to make a golf swing for Marcus, whilst a programmer added bunkers and mounds to a Gears of War level. The grenade launching mechanic was used to aim and hit the ball, but don't expect to be playing around with Marcus anytime soon. The project was internal only.
Character customization is about to get a lot more complicated with the announcement of the new game Drawn to Life for Nintendo DS. You use the stylus to draw your hero before embarking on a journey across numerous worlds to help save a village from a force that is covered in darkness. Drawn to Life is due for release in the spring.
Sony Online Entertainment has bought Sigil Games, the developers of Vanguard, Saga of Heroes. SOE President John Smedley announced on Station.com that whilst some staff would be retrenched, they are dedicated to making sure Vanguard is well taken care of and that they plan on supporting Vanguard for many years to come, including expansion packs and official player forums. Brad McQuaid, executive producer and CEO at Sigil Games, who also co-produced the EverQuest franchise, will stay on as creative advisor for Vanguard. In a forum post last month, he stated that the game needs a relaunch of sorts, and for players' computers to catch up to the game's high specification requirements.
Good game!
Aloha gamers, can you guess the title of this Polygon Punch Fest?
Time over!
Answer at the end of the show.
Good game!
Spider-Man 3 is swinging its way into our cinemas as we speak, and fans of the comic books, Jung and I are wearing our anticipation pants.
That's right, and even though the game follows the plot path of the movie, it has additional storylines as well. Kingpin makes an appearance, as does Scorpion, Rhino, Mad Bomber, and the Lizard Man.
At any particular time, you've got 3 to 5 paths you can actually choose, which suits the multiple storylines of the film. And I was expecting this to be a pretty ordinary game, Jung, but I actually find myself liking it a bit.
Yet we're still trying to figure out what kind of game this is. Needless to say, there's a lot of swinging around between missions in a sandbox kind of way. But there's not that much to do in the city other than the very occasional crime to solve. So usually you're just swinging to your next mission. It's a good thing the swinging is very refined because you spend a lot of time doing it, and that's not a bad thing.
Missions take the form of a childlike God of War game, only if you fail, you've got infinite lives and infinite health.
If you get it right, you're rewarded with some impressive stunts by Spidey. If you get it wrong, and the results are humorously unspectacular.
It was kind of like watching outtakes from a Jackie Chan film. Right from the start, you're encouraged to button mash.
By the most smart-ass tutorial I've ever seen.
Hold it down long enough, and you can probably leap small buildings in a single bound. I mean, you're not quite as impressive as that other guy, are you? Don't worry, I'm sure you have a lovely personality.
And pretty much every fight is just that. Along with the button mashing and the occasional super move is your Spidey sense, which is like infrared, so you can see through walls to see your objective. This serves its purpose as a hint button.
And that just made it more of a kid's game for me. You've got one more trick up your sleeve, and that's your Spidey reflexes, which takes the form of slowing down time and dodging incoming attacks.
And dodging bullets looks sweet.
Yes, it does, but the trouble with having a slowing down time mechanic is it becomes the solution to every problem.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Fear and Prince of Persia, you know? You can beat just about any challenging situation with the slow-mo, and they try and limit it in Spider-Man 3 by having a slow-mo bar that runs out, but it doesn't really work, gamers. Left button is your friend.
Repetitive level design on rooftops and sewers didn't bother us as much as the frame rate slowing down. Even on the 360, it was having trouble keeping up in just average fights.
The PS2 and the PC version, the graphics are dumbed down a bit, but it's still quite a bit of fun and it's very cheap.
They have fit a lot into the game as well. I mean, we clocked in about 15 to 20 hours, so you'll feel like you got your money's worth.
I don't want to hurt you, Doc, but you aren't leaving me much choice.
Surprise attacks are ruined by being able to see your enemy's health bars. There's a lot of small bugs in this game, but they don't distract from the overall fun.
Side missions take the form of gang busts, joyrides for Mary Jane, and photography missions for the Daily Bugle. On the whole, these felt like filler, and especially the photography missions were quite boring.
Completing these missions reward you with special abilities, so you're going to want to do them no matter how boring they actually are. It sounds like you didn't like this game very much, Jung. What did you think of the minigames?
Well, the minigames, yeah, I mean, often when you're presented with a problem like disarming a bomb, they give you a minigame to do that requires some quick thinking. And at first they were ridiculously easy. I thought, oh dear, because I've already seen too many parts of this game that are oversimplified. But as the game went on, they got harder, and yeah, I'm liking them now. They're the one part of the game that require you to think instead of just button mash.
Did it remind you a bit of Call of Duty 3?
Yes, actually, that's what Call of Duty 3 tried to do but didn't quite get there.
The movie tries to have everything in it, action, comedy, romance, and the game kind of tries to do the same thing. There's lots of puzzle-solving elements, sandbox elements, and lots of fights.
They tried to make an everything game, but they didn't do it as well as GTA.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the voice acting from Tobey Maguire is top-notch, and fans of the movies will be happy that you can play Venom. I'm giving it 7 out of 10.
Because the game applies to everyone, it'll only half please everyone. I reckon it's polished, but it's still lacking a bit in the fun factor department. I'm giving it 6.5 out of 10.
Over the past few weeks, we've taken a look at some pretty extreme cooling systems. Now, the guys are going to work together to try and attempt to go for the single and quad-core world overclocking records.
All right, let's begin.
Your whole system runs at what's called a clock. So every second, it ticks, it sends a pulse through. And so in order to get the process up to a faster speed, rather than running at the speed of the board, which in this case, say it runs at 200 megahertz, for example, but that would make the processor too slow. So if you had a multiplier, say 2, then instead of running 200 times a second, it will go up to 400 times a second. So it's just basically a way of getting that CPU to run faster than all the other components in the system.
Well, the idea is to pre-test everything on air cooling, so you know the hardware's limits. So I know roughly how hard I can push it without having any hardware issues. When you're benchmarking this, you should know what your hardware is capable of and roughly what you can expect. Whoa.
Yeah, is it the cold already?
Locked up already.
Locked up. Which means
Too
they start
cold.
the process again. There are all sorts of protections these days, so once you hit a certain temperature, it'll just shut the machine down. Whereas in the past, yeah, there was a real big risk of destroying all your hardware. The risk is still there today, but it's greatly reduced compared to what it was like in the past.
165 is 165.
Okay.
So why are you adding water into the system at the moment?
They can quite often cold bug, so if you put a bit of water in, it's a really good insulator and it stops it from reaching quite as cold where it will lock up. So you just puts a bit of a barrier between the liquid nitrogen, the copper tube and the CPU.
So you've already surpassed the goal of 4.5 and you're off and away.
Yeah, the fastest I've ever had one mine was 4.6. We just had almost 4.8, but we'll get 5 gigahertz now.
As long as these temps stay.
Don't get it too cold.
No, this is good, yeah. He's got to keep it going. Otherwise, if he's got too big a jump in temperatures.
You guys were telling us earlier that some people cheat and they like disabling 3
Yeah,
of the 4
disable
cores to
3
get a
and
little
run
bit
1.
faster. It's not really doing it properly.
We're not disabling any cores or anything. This is quad.
This is
So
true.
this is the
4
full
cores
system.
running at full speed, completely and utterly overclocked.
Super.
Nothing's disabled at all.
Yeah, it is.
This is the temperature currently, it's sitting at minus 71, and that's basically at the base of the tube. So you want to keep that sort of constant.
Generally, just increase the front side bus speed in Windows, and that basically allows you to gradually bump it up without having to reboot and go back into BIOS, change your setting and reboot. So it just gives you a better idea of what overclock you can get. When you get a bad overclock, it can sometimes cause conflict with all the settings in the system, and it just doesn't want to start, so you can hard lock up.
Did something just jump out of that? Like something jumped out. Was it a piece of ice or was it a piece of hardware?
Sometimes because you can get gas trapped underneath it, and the whole block of ice would come out. And that's really handy, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
More speed juice for you guys.
So what sort of clock speed are we at now?
4.8.
Making progress.
We need more LN2 quick too.
Okay, I need some more L2.
Guys.
So you're bypassing essentially all the software on the board and doing it yourself.
Now go.
1.8, that's insane.
4955. Screenshot. Wait, can't see the screen.
Yes, that easy. What's that? What's that?
It's just under fire.
4955. Yeah, we
Is
got
that
it.
frontside bus? No, because you had 400 before, didn't you?
Oh, the front side bus side. Oh, well, shouldn't be yet.
What
It's at high, don't worry. Just
Northbridge only at 1.45.
What?
Close to 400 megahertz off the target at the moment. Are we closing in on that fairly rapidly?
That's the
or
world
are we
record too.
reaching?
it's possible.
I'd
if we-
say 10 minutes.
No.
50 PC.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Game over. Well, thanks for coming on the show, guys, and thanks to our judges from Atomic. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the world record, but we got to 5 gigahertz, and that's a pretty damn good effort in my opinion. So, well done.
Each week on the show, we like to give away a Good Game shirt to the best review posted on our forums. This week, it's...
Good game.
A few weeks ago, we handed Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars some chickens.
We liked it.
Yes, we did. And now the 360 port has hit our shelves. Some of the key members of the development team for Command & Conquer were in town recently, including lead producer Mike Verdu. I asked him if he got nervous before the release of Tiberium Wars.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were on pins and needles before the release of this game. We're all CNC fans working on this product. I think there are 3 generations of Command & Conquer fans. Many of us got into RTS gaming because of CNC, so to work on CNC, it's such an honor and a privilege, but it's also very intimidating.
And introducing a new faction, the Skrin. At what point in the development process did this happen?
And as we were sort of thinking about the shape of this game in the early stages, it was just really clear that the Skrin were the right faction to bring in. The Skrin have a character that's all their own, with interesting units that you bring out in the early game, and then the huge units that you bring out later, like the mothership and the tripod or the planetary assault carrier. Very distinctive gameplay style.
RTS on a console? What do you say to those PC purists who say you can't play RTS on a console?
Well, I say you need to give it a shot. It is really easy to pick up. I've never found a case of somebody who couldn't pick it up and start playing within 5 minutes. We did a lot of different types of research. We did one type of research which we call tissue testing, which is where we bring people in within the company who haven't played the game before, had them sit down and play it and see what they were doing, and we took the game out of the company to focus testing. We brought in people that didn't know that they were playing an EA game, made adjustments, and then went back and did those tests all over again.
Command & Conquer has a large and some would say fanatical fan base. Do you involve them in the development process?
We brought some of the best CNC players and the most passionate fans onto our into our facility to work with us to become part of the dev team. Because really, as good of players as we think we are on the dev team, we really aren't as good as the players that are out there.
Xbox Live has a strong and lively multiplayer scene. Tell us what we can expect with online play with Command & Conquer 3.
Brought in 2 new modes for CNC 360, and those modes are Capture the Flag. Then we have Siege, which is my favorite mode now in the game, and that is where you can enforce turtling. You know, it's like what you and your friend used to do. You'd call your friend up on the phone and say, okay, let's play a game. And you'd say, well, give me like 5 minutes to build up before you attack me. Well, we now enforce that by putting up an energy barrier, and the players can set whatever time limit they like on that barrier. Beyond that, we've also added vision camera support. As I'm playing, I can see the expression on their face as I'm dominating them, because they're up on the screen and, you know, in the middle of the gameplay, and it allows at the end of the game for a winner circle, which is where the player that has won the game comes up in a large window in the middle of the screen and kind of, you know, gets to gloat and tell you how well he did.
Oh, loser. Loser. And oh, loser.
We really do want you to play RTS like it was a sport. And I think that as we've seen with games in Korea and other places, the potential is very much there. And with CNC, we're trying to make a first step in that for markets all around the world.
It's no secret that there were some initial problems in the online play for Command & Conquer 3. Have these issues been resolved?
I was horrified by the problems we had at launch. I actually went online and apologized for some of the missteps that we had. And yeah, people had some trouble connecting, people had trouble getting their stats updated. A lot of those teething problems are now behind us. The online feels much more stable, but we certainly could have had a better online launch than we did. And I'll be perfectly candid about it. And we won't do that again.
Good game.
Can I talk about it yet, John?
No.
Come on, it's killing me.
Fine.
Ninja Turtles is here!
Damage I do to those jumps, the angrier I get. Get it? So, no rage?
Yes, that's right, it's Hera. And in sync with the movie, you can take control over your favorite heroes and do a ridiculous amount of jumping. A version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is out on PC, all the consoles, including the handhelds. We were playing with the PS2 version.
Even though TMNT is aimed at kids, if you're a fan of the show like me, then it's always fun to get excited about Turtles games.
That's right, the level design is at times pretty detailed and well thought out and on a very large scale. The game is based on the Prince of Persia engine, which means you're going to be doing a lot of climbing up walls, swinging through the air, and jumping across rooftops.
And essentially that's what the game is. The fight sequences are very simple to get through. You pretty much just have to mash the one button to do it. And it's very much a Crash Bandicoot-like camera, so often you can't see where you're going to jump to, and the wall climbs are a bit hard to judge, so it is a bit frustrating.
Some people like this not knowing where you're going next sort of platformer, but I found it massively frustrating.
I know, and it's a shame, I love the Turtles, but not these Turtles. Unfortunately, I'm wearing my disappointed pants this week, John, because of TMNT. I did enjoy the game a bit more after watching the film, but frankly, the Turtles deserve better. 5 out of 10 barbecue chicken pizzas with anchovies from me. The original arcade game is still much more fun, in my opinion.
That's right, for a game with an established fan base and 4 heroes, it seemed like this game was made for co-op, but there was no multiplayer option. At first glance, it looks like a dumbed-down version of Prince of Persia. At second glance, it's just bad. I'm giving it 5 out of 10 as well.
And was it just me, or did Michelangelo sound like he was from Texas? What's with that?
What's wrong with Texas?
It's showdown time, and this week it's the best game location of all time.
And this one seems like the more recent games might get a bit of an advantage due to graphics, eh, Bet?
Indeedly, Jung. Think of the Zelda Hyrule, starting off in a 2D world and the evolving in the consoles to the multiple location fest that is Twilight Princess.
That's right, there's something to be said for 2D moving into 3D. I remember Lilac Wars, when the first couple of levels were all linear, but then bam, you're flying all over the place.
Up to you. Cover the base. The hatches are open.
Taking all that into consideration, Jung, what's your pick?
Well, I know WoW gets mentioned a lot on Good Game, and, rightly so, because it's one of the more played games. But Nagrand in the Burning Crusade expansion, that was most people's favorite place to quest, and we spent so long there.
For hours spent in one place, mine would be Dust. D-E, Dust.
That's hardly a lovely place.
No, I think I know every brick and sand particle, though.
As far as real-world locations ported into a game, Monument Valley in MotorStorm is a pretty good choice. You could do things you could never do in real life, such as smash a 10-ton truck into a national reserve.
And what about games where you can actually build the location yourself, such as SimCity, of course, and Ancient Rome in the Caesar games?
Our city is losing money.
But my pick of those, Bajo, is Viva Pinata. There's something godlike about having all these pinatas made in your garden.
Samuel's pick is The Zone in Stalker, a disease-ridden toxic wasteland. Hardly my choice in holiday destination.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have a 10 there.
Well, Jung, we've got to pick a winner. What's your choice? No. Look, I know what you're going to say, and frankly, it's just sad.
We all veil our truths, but how we leave an impression is what defines us.
Dude, this is awesome! I've been waiting for the new Halo 3 beta version for so long. I can't wait till the full retail version comes out. Oh my god, Kevin, I'm so excited. I think I just soiled myself.
Toby, you're so easily manipulated by the hype machine, it's sad. It's just a third Halo game, so everything gets a little bit better and everything gets a little bit prettier. So what? It's still Halo, and the people you play against are still inbred morons with an 8-word vocabulary, half of which consists of words I'd be too embarrassed to say in front of even your mother.
What? But you just did the same thing for the new Pokémon game. That's just a little bit better. That's just a little bit prettier than the last version. Just like the last version before, it was just a little bit better and a little bit prettier. You've got no moral high ground here, beard face. In fact, you're worse than me on this score. How many times do you have to catch a darn Pikachu before you realize you've played this game before?
Oh no, my friend. The difference here is Pokémon stands alone on its hill, lord and king of all it surveys. There is no other RPG that does what Pokémon does as well as it does it. Pokémon has been slowly refined for a decade to become the ultimate in its class. But Halo, well, there's literally a metric frag ton of other shooters out there doing the same thing Halo does. At least a few of them are at least as good or better.
Well, Gears of War was very nice, yes, but this is Halo! Halo! For crying out loud, it's significant. Recognize its significance! Halo!
Yeah, that's my point. It's Halo. You know what it's going to be. You're just letting yourself get caught up in the manufactured hype like an obedient little lapdog. There are teams of Microsoft-employed marketing goblin people raised from the pits of hell that lie just under Redmond who've spent months of their cursed and stinky lives making people like you feel like you should be excited about playing and, more importantly, paying for Halo again. Hell, they even made you buy a game you didn't want just so you could play the beta demo.
But you... Pokémon... marketing... Halo...
Hello, Rob? Yeah, you owe me $10. Yep, I made him cry. Yeah, I can hear him sobbing from his bedroom as we speak.
You know what? At least Halo doesn't have a stupid cartoon!
Yeah, and I'm sure the Halo movie won't suck. I think I may have even caused some permanent psychological damage.
La la la, so you think you can't game.
Yeah. Oh!
No! Keep hitting... Stop hitting me while I'm down.
Yeah, all's fair in love and dead or alive, man. I'm sorry, I'm just getting more noobified by playing you. I'm gonna have to go play someone good.
Hey, Aya, can you give me some help? Jung's owning me.
Yeah, sure, no worries. The problem is that when Jung is knocking you back, he's getting 2 or 3 easy hits when you're just lying there limply on the ground. So what you need to do instead is try and do a tech roll. As soon as he knocks you back, the moment you hit the ground, press back and X at the same time. You'll stand up immediately and you'll be able to get back into the fight.
Cool, thanks, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, I just smacked down Daniil.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Fancy another game?
Let's do it. Hey, not cool. Oh, where'd you learn how to do that? Oh, that's not cool.
All's fair and dead or alive, Jung.
Good game.
For 6 months now, the rest of the world has been teasing us about Elite Beat Agents. Well, now it's finally here, and it's pick up and play at its finest.
Elite Beat Agents is a rhythm-based game for Nintendo DS. Whenever there is an injustice in the world, the agents will be there to save the day, grooving you all the way to victory. Your player must perform a variety of simple tasks, such as hitting notes in an exact timing, and also spinning wheels. Simple, but deadly.
As you're busy putting holes in your DS, the agents will dance around and the characters will overcome their problems in comic-style cutscenes. The fate of the characters depends on how well you play, and you'll laugh at their extremely quirky stories.
Artists such as the Rolling Stones, Hoobastank and Jamiroquai have provided tracks. They're not the original songs, but they're really great covers, especially considering it's a handheld.
It's all done with the DS stylus, and Guitar Hero 2 fans will instantly feel at home. That's not to say it's easy, though. Rather than overwhelming you with fast hand-contorting solos, Elite Beat Agents will confuse you with offbeats and stylus aim.
As with all rhythm music games, you really need to listen to the audio cues to get through. If you only use the visual aids, you'll be doomed to failure. And it can be pretty unforgiving. The writing's really on the wall, even if you miss just a few notes. It's pretty hard to catch up, even in medium setting.
That's right, and I gotta wonder, with only 16 tracks, did they make it this hard just for longevity purposes? If so, it worked.
The review option is pretty cool, especially if you've got a friend who's a fan of the phrase screenshot or it didn't happen.
I'm telling you, screenshot or it didn't happen. I'm not being mean, that's just the way it is. We were able to link up 2 DSs with only one copy of the game, which is always great, and the multiplayer is equally satisfying and addictive.
Well, all in all, it's pretty hard and it's pretty hilarious. Final thoughts, John?
Despite its difficulty and several unlocks, Elite Beat Agents is short-lived. It does have replay value though, and it's selling for only $50. The rest of the world can still tease us about Pokemon and Paper Mario, but now the agents are here, this is a handheld you don't want to miss. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, you know, and a lot of the time that can be discouraging in a game, but in this it actually makes you really want to keep going, and that's a sign of a good game. I'm going for 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Go for the chain, get the chain. Well, gamers, did you get the retro game for this week?
Of course you did. It was Virtua Fighter, the very first 3D fighting game. You had punch, kick, and block, but lots and lots of button combos meant you actually had thousands of moves.
KO!
That's it for this week, gamers.
Next week, we'll be hitting the handhelds. We take a look at Final Fantasy III for Nintendo DS, and also SOCOM on the PSP.
We'll talk to the lead developer of Juice 2, Hot Import Nights, which is claiming to take drifting one step further.
Aya gives us his top Dota tips, and Dr. Daniil does some strange things with the Wii Remote.
Don't forget to get on our forums and give us some suggestions or feedback. You can download, vodcast, or podcast the show from there as well.
Till next week, Bajo out.
Junglist out.